Hello everyone, this is Jake from CINECALIBER. Today's video, it will be my review on episode 8 and the season finale of House of the Dragon season 2. Now, I apologize for the delay in this video as the show has already ended at this point, but I wanted to get the rest of my reactions and thoughts for the season out. This again is my 8th review on this TV series, and if anyone wants to check on my earlier reviews for the show, there will be links in the description below for those. This is also one of my most anticipated shows of the 2024 year, and if anyone wants a more detailed analysis of those, there will be a link in the description of this video below for that as well. Yeah, we'll get right into it here, guys. The season finale. We'll do a recap of episode 7, all the things that kind of tie into this. It's a bit of everything for the most part. Like there's so many different character arcs that basically tie in together, being that everything kind of builds up to this one episode. So first, episode 7. Rhaenyra had gained the advantage over Aemon as she had successfully been able to bond 3 dragons with other bloodlines of her family. So she basically has Vhagar beaten if there's ever a time that they would need to fight. But the only thing that kind of lacks for her is that she's missing an army to counter against Aemon. The riders themselves, there's Adam of Hull. He bonded with Sea Smoke. Then we had Hugh Hammer, who bonded with Vermithor. And then we had Ulf, who had bonded with Silverwing. And they're all various Targaryen bastards for the most part. With Adam just being a bastard of Corlys Velaryon, And then when it comes to her army, we had Daemon, who's been able to secure the alliance of the Riverlords, as he was able to come to an agreement with them in the previous episode. But it still remains to be seen what his intentions are with this army, but we do finally get to see that come into play in this episode. We have Lord Larys, who continues to plot against Aemon as he has Grand Maester Oilwell work to get Aegon healed much quicker, which we will see more of in this episode, and it's been a pivotal point since episode 6. We had Rhaena, after having discovered that the Eyrie has a wild dragon, snuck off in the last episode to most likely see if she can bond with the dragon, as she has failed to bond with one, and I think she's missing purpose. That's what I've been getting from her in this season, at least. And then as episode 6, Sir Criston Cole has been ordered by Aemon to march to Harrenhal and meet with the Lannister forces to take Harrenhal once and for all from Daemon. So see kind of that as well. And then at the same time, Aemon has also ordered Tywin Lannister to seek an alliance with the Triarchy, which is a group of mercenary pirates, to snuff out the Sea Snakes blockade, which we will see more of as well. But that's everything. That was a recap, guys. We're going to go into now what was a hit with this episode, the good. So basically, again, this episode we do get to see the culmination of a bunch of storylines to pay off, starting first with Daemon and Harrenhal. So this arc has been pretty stretched out for the majority of this season. But by this episode, Daemon has secured the army that Rhaenyra so desperately needs. But we just haven't been sure if he would try to claim the army. Try to claim this army for himself. What we do get, though, is Daemon in this episode gets a vision of events from a Game of Thrones. So he gets to see the White Walkers, he does see Khaleesi, and in this moment here makes him realize that he was just a pawn of the Song of Fire, of Ice and Fire. And he basically, because of this, declares his royalty to Rhaenyra. I mean, like I said, all the characterization for this arc really pays off here, as he finally puts aside his selfish desires and decides to fight for something that is bigger than himself. Now, did it really need to take like 6 episodes for this to happen? I don't know, but I really think that in the long run, that the arc does a great job of kind of just portraying him as this conflicted individual. He was basically a bad, selfish person in season one, but here I feel like this development finally makes him into something better. So I did enjoy it, but again, I will say I don't know if it would take 6 episodes, but overall, I liked it more than a lot of other people did. So, then on Dragonstone, we see the newly bonded dragon riders Ulf, Adam, and Hugh begin their training. We do get a bit of tension from Jace, who knows he is as much of a bastard as they are, but he's just an official bastard, or I'm sorry, he's an unofficial bastard, so to say. I found some of the interactions between them to be pretty humorous in this episode, mostly because Ulf is such a jokester about the whole thing, while Hugh and Adam, they kind of take their duties a bit more seriously. But yeah, that was some good exploration of them. Then at the Eyrie, we had Reyna, after running off, does finally find, excuse me, the wild dragon that has been loose, but it remains to be seen if she does bond with them, as they leave that plotline on a bit of a cliffhanger. And that's another one that, to me, it feels like it's kind of dragged a little bit, but I'm hoping Reyna finally does get her moment of glory. So, on the Team Green side of things, you have Aemon, who has become enraged at Rhaenyra gaining the advantage over him, and takes it out on a small town, murdering basically the whole town. And then he comes back to King's Landing to demand that Helena takes flight with her dragon, Dreamfire, the counter, which Helena refuses, and in a tense scene of dialogue tells him that she foresees his death and Aegon retaking the throne, which we will, hopefully see all that play out, maybe in season 3 or maybe probably season 4, but who knows, but I really like that moment. I thought it was very suspenseful. I like seeing Aemon's vulnerability, he feels like he's invincible, but we get to see a more vulnerable side of him in this episode. So, then we have Larry's. At this point, he's decided to hide Aegon and Braavos to wait out the war between Aemon and Rhaenyra. His plan is basically to wait so that they can swoop in and reclaim the throne once both sides have been decimated, which again, it does show how smart this guy is. His maneuvers and manipulations continue to be at play, and Aegon does decide for it, so we will see what lies ahead for Aegon in the next season of the show. So, then we have Kristen Cole, who's been kind of not much of a factor these last few episodes, but there's a tense moment in this episode between him and Gwen Hightower, who approaches Cole for sleeping with his sister, to which Cole admits, but he also admits all his guilt on the war and past actions he has done. I have to say, as much as I despise Cole, they have done a tremendous job making him a bit relatable this season, since the trauma from the Battle of Rook's Rest has kind of really made a mark on him. And I really like the characterization for him in this moment where he's just kind of admitting all his wrongs. Makes me wonder, is he finally gonna own up to all the crap he's done? I thought it was some really good characterization for him in this moment. Then we also get a good look into Tylan Lannister, who's really been not much of a factor in this show. He's been popping up here and there at the small council meetings, but he has a really good arc this episode. He basically seeks out the alliance with the Triarchy, which to me was the humor of the episode, as he's forced to commit these funny acts to gain their allegiance. But again, by the end of the episode, he does look to be leading the Triarchy against the blockade. So it does look like he did succeed, and it looks like he's going to be leading them into battle for the most part. But then on the blockade side of things, we get a confrontation between Corlys and Alan, who Corlys does try to reconcile their relationship, but Alan fully turns him down in a tense moment of dialogue as the two prepare for what sea battles lie ahead of them. I can't really say I blame Adam blame Alan because Corliss basically abandoned him as a child, and basically Corliss has no one left. So of course Alan's like, "Oh, I'm like your last resort." So it was a nice bit of bickering between the two. Tense moment of family realizations there. And then finally, Allison herself has a big moment in this episode as she sneaks to meet with Rhaenyra and offers to surrender King's Landing to her in exchange for her and her family's safety. However, Rhaenyra is adamant of killing Aemon to fully force her transition as ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. Whether or not Allison will oblige by these stipulations will remain to be seen, but her character has also tremendously grown over the course of this season. She's another one that she's very much unlikable, but after being forced out of power, she's starting to realize that this just isn't worth it, this whole war. Plus, when she realized that she caused it inadvertently, and really what she thought was right wasn't really, I feel like, opened her eyes. But so we'll see what she decides to do in the next season, if she goes with Rhaenyra or if she remains loyal to her sons. It remains to be seen. But that was everything that was a hit for me, guys, with this episode. Now we're going to go into what was a miss, the bad. As I've stated in my previous reviews, really, there was just some questionable pacing and character arcs this season. Most of them have been redeemed, but I do feel that like the younger Targaryen kids, Baela, Rhaena, and Jace, they were all a bit wasted this season. Jace spent most of the season just kind of whining to his mom, while Baela and Rhaena were sprinkled in moments here and there, but not enough to really make the audience invested in them. Hopefully in future seasons we do get a bit more balance with their characters, but I wasn't too impressed with them in this episode or in this overall season. So, and really that's all I had that was a miss, guys. I'm going to get into the conclusion here. So this was a packed season finale, guys, but not of war and bloody battle, but of huge payoffs of characterization, that we've explored pretty much through the whole season. You get to see characters, main and recurring, fully develop into some great characters and make you want to be invested with them. And despite some sluggish pacing with some of them, this episode truly sets up the war that is forever looming the Targaryen dynasty. I rate this episode a solid 4 out of 5. And also, I give my rating of this season a 4 out of 5 as well. It was a very decent season, and I'm very excited for season 3. Now, guys, I said this is one of my most anticipated shows of the 2024 year. I will have a list, which you'll see up here, of all the shows that I am excited for. You'll see the ones that I've seen, the ones that I have not seen yet, and then some that were just kind of delayed until next year. But yeah, I've been kind of going through the list, and I'm excited to keep cracking through these. But again, there will be a video in the description below for those if you want to see a detailed analysis of my thoughts on those shows. And yeah, please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. And that's all I have for this show, and I will get back to it once the show comes back. Alrighty, this is Jake from CINECALIBER.